On my way to Northfield now. I got a little bit of a late start, but I'm in late. I'm in late tonight, right? 12th race with Pete. It's going to go at about, knowing Northfield, around 2:45 in the morning. Probably go around 10:45 or so. I left at 4:30. I should be there lots of time. I don't know what the border is going to be like, but I do have a Nexus card, so I should be fine in that regard. Now, obviously I'm heading over to drive Pete tonight. Somebody said, well, you left, you didn't want to drive Per Lucky because you had one drive, and you're going over to drive Pete one drive. Why? It's actually a good question. I mean, it's an easy answer for me, but it's a good question. One horse is an 8-year-old that's an open trotter. That's an open trotter, and he was out of my way, right? He was out of my way. Now, granted, I live in Guelph, Ontario, and Pete's racing 4.5 hours away from me tonight. But Pete's a different situation. Here's a filly that was one of the top fillies in Ohio last year. Made a break that was so hard breaking the break in the final, but had a good year, and then got off to a shaky start. Was second with a break under the wire in that Hackett Lim or Hackett race, and then made another break in a qualifier on Luke, and we made some changes, put her on Lasix, and now they don't know that over here, but we had already schooled this filly in 55 flat, and she was very strong. Now, that doesn't mean you can just blast out of there, although I have every intention to leave tonight. I would rather not break rule number 1, which is keep the trotters trotting. Easier said than done sometimes. You know, when I do my videos every week, I like to reflect on what we did this week. I'm so excited to talk about the babies training this week, but it's definitely worth noting how good our luck has been this year with aged horses. You know, when you look at what you've allowed us to do, right? You look at the top headlines from this week for us, for the stable. Patrick the Piranha, 3 wins in a row in Massachusetts, 150 and 3 again, 27 and a piece on the end of it. Although we paid a lot of money for this horse, it certainly looks like we're well on our way to getting chunks of it back, I guess. And it's just so exciting to have such a nice horse, an open pacer with Patrick the Piranha. And then you look at Stay Close. You know, our project horses turned out good for the most part. We've been very fortunate and lucky with them. Stay Close, LD's Patrick. I had told you the other day that LD's Patrick, simply the track was bad. That wasn't the case. He tied up a little bit too. Not bad. A little crampy, which is unlike him. I don't remember him ever having a high AST. But he did cramp up a little bit. Now, the weather was kind of odd and very inclement in the meadows all week. Did that play a role? And generally, for a gelding, a 5-year-old gelding, you wouldn't think so. Something did. Something caused it. So, I'm not really sure. But we'll see if we can get Patrick back on course. He's slated. I'm looking at potentially sending him to Kentucky. Why? Because, remember what I told you the other day, what Patrick does like is a deeper track. And they say that Oak Grove is deep. When I heard somebody say that, geez, they say that track in Kentucky's deep, immediately my ears perked up and I thought of Patrick right away. I think we're definitely going to send Unbeatable Kemp. We're definitely going to send our other girl, Blue Bayou Deal. For sure they're going. I think it would be a wise decision to have a look at the maiden. Crew Chief is Kentucky eligible, although he's not Unbeatable Kemp, and I don't want to race Unbeatable Kemp against Crew Chief. He is Kentucky eligible, so there's got to be something down there for him too in the way of maidens or whatnot. And then we also have some older trotters, right? I do believe that LD's Patrick and Walk on the Moon would fit great down there. The non-winners of 8. Walk on the Moon gets 2 cracks at that down there before we have to make decisions with him. So I just watching him race in Pennsylvania, this horse just falls into a rut quickly, right? Didn't get things his own way today and just looked kind of blah. But that's him in a nutshell, right? I know you guys know that he frustrates me a little bit, but he does because he doesn't put out, right? I had this conversation with my children, of all things. Ollie'd asked me why Glance was in a condition claimer last week, and you guys saw the exchange between myself and my 8-year-old in the video, if you're watching. And I think he understood, but the thing that frustrates me, I said to him, I'll go to bat for horses that try all the time. Glant's a nice horse. He's never going to give you 105%. I know everybody thinks he does. He put out. And don't get me wrong. One of my favorite horses for quite some time was White Tiger. White Tiger's never put out 105% in his entire life on planet Earth. Not one time. Never. But an effective horse. So there's a role for those horses also. Clearly there is. But I am going to go to a bat. Like I find myself gravitating towards an Eldest Patrick. There's a horse that we got, fixed him up, changed him around. He turned into a nice horse, and he's a nice horse to drive. Like, he wasn't good the other day. Here's a horse we find out later that tied up. His AST was 2,000, so it was high enough. He tied up. His feet were sore. The horse still raced as good as he could. Now, the finish wasn't great, but you could tell when I went under the wire, there was no doubt that he had tried 105% in that race. He did everything he could. I moved him to the front. He could have run at any point. He could have cowered and laid on the outside. No. He attacked the leaders, cleared to the front, and did everything he could to have the most favorable finish he could, because he's a competitor. That, to me, horses that do that, I don't care that he finished 6th. I can feel that he was trying 105%. And anytime you see anyone, any athlete, or anyone in any capacity doing the best plus that they can, you have to have respect for that particular individual, whether it's a horse or a human. So I think, circling back to Kentucky, Eldest Patrick would benefit from it. I think the class and the classification might be a little softer for a Walk on the Moon. And maybe a little shake-up wouldn't hurt him at all either. We do this with Stonebridge Simba sometimes, and it paid off dividends, obviously, with Saratoga. He's raced tremendously since he got there. And I think that will continue. As I said to Mark when we sent the horse down, I said, you can look at his lines, but trust me when I tell you, this guy he'll be a lot better than his lines show. He's always better when we send him somewhere. He just shakes him up, and he's on his toes all the time. And I think maybe Walk on the Moon's just got a little complacent in a place he was used to in Pennsylvania. And it doesn't always work. Obviously, it backfires sometimes. The trip to Kentucky for Levator was disastrous in every sense of the literal word. So it's not like we just snap our fingers and we just move them around and everything works out great. Sometimes it doesn't. And we have to be cognizant of that too, because these moves, although they do seem easy, are expensive, right? You guys know that. I'm your partners on these horses. I get the bills sometimes too, and look and say, Jesus, Levator's bill was high. And it's really high because he didn't make any money. So I'm always trying to balance what's best for us and what's best for everybody's pocketbook also. You guys know that I preach and preach and preach and preach how, you shouldn't rely on horses for revenue, that this shouldn't be a business model, because it's tough. This is not a game where I would say, okay, you should be investing money. No, quite the opposite. I think if you're going to look to invest money, do it in a bank or the stock market, or do it with somebody that knows what they're doing as far as managing your money is concerned. But at the same token, that doesn't mean I flush it down the toilet. I treat everybody's dollars like they're mine, and I don't like to waste them. I try to do the best I can, and I don't like to waste them, but it doesn't always work out. It certainly has worked out in moving Patrick the Piranha. It certainly is, and buying him. It certainly has worked out with moving Stonebridge Simba. Eldest Patrick was great his first start, tied up a little bit, but I think you'll see the Eldest Patrick that I love bounce back next time out. And you see growth in some of these horses. Sailor, not a runaway. I don't know why. Not a runaway anymore. Dominic is, and it's so easy to get down on yourself in this game, whether you be an owner or a trainer or a driver, for that fact. To get down on yourself. And I know that Dominic was feeling that crunch a couple of weeks ago, right? Sailor was off and he wasn't good. He didn't school good 3 weeks ago. He did 2 weeks ago, but not 3 weeks ago. Just little things can tilt how we perceive ourselves in this game ever so slightly. They can make big differences. You go out and have a couple of breaks or a couple of horses finish up the track, and all of a sudden you feel terrible. You feel like you're inferior. But then we have the good nights, you feel like Superman, right? And that's why we all love horse racing. That swing, that jolt, that adrenaline, that adrenaline charge that you get, it's all what we all love. And that's what makes it the greatest game that I've ever played, for sure. I've played plenty. So, it's great to see the racehorse side doing well. We haven't talked about the babies yet. I'm super excited. I trained some horses today. We had some people that come out to see, and we had Oliver's team out at the end of the day at 11 o'clock. And when people, I'm going to come out to the barn. Most people that come out to the barn have a certain level of understanding, right, about horse racing and about horses. Even our clients that know nothing that much about horses, they still are clients. They still know a little bit. These are kids and their parents. A horse to them was as foreign as a UFO. Like, it was the coolest thing to experience. I now wish I had some videos of them. I'm just rushing around so much to get done and train all the babies, and a couple of them were acting up, so I snapped them in the race bike. And it was lost on me until it was over that these children, these kids, these little kids, were experiencing what I did when I did when I was 8, and it was the coolest thing. And I regret not making video of it now. I'm sure their parents had pictures and they're going to post them, but it was pretty cool. And honestly, it's the best part of my job, is interacting with people at that remedial entrance level that just are so excited about horse racing. It's the coolest feeling. So, as I said, I was talking about how the racehorses did well. Patrick DePerano's been incredible. How good is Stay Close? I don't know. You tell me. I have no idea how good he is. Horse just winning 52-1 with the earplugs in, I believe, and clearly wrapped up going under the wire. How fast is Stay Close? But this is what I mean, right? He looked good. He looked good, but was bumpy in, he overpowered them the day I went in 55 with him at Miami Valley. He was getting there, he got it, but he still needed help. And as we tinkered, and it was one of my buddies, Alan, the only person that noticed it. We posted a picture the other day on Facebook. I didn't even notice it. Picture the other day on Facebook about Stay Close laying down the day after the race and how tired he was. Cool picture. Only Alan Swain was the one that noticed what shoes he had on up front. Alan messaged me. He goes, the shoes on Stay Close are those flip-flops that you keep talking about. They aren't. They weren't. They aren't. Those are, that horse is the only horse, and I think the only horse I can remember in the last 3 years that we've had that wears those shoes. Those shoes are specific to Stay Close. And if you go back and look, I know a lot of you will now, those shoes are called mushroom bar shoes. Now, if you look how that shoe is made, it's a shoe, and then just the bar that goes on the frog part, there's no pressure on the corners of the heels. Reason being, remember when we bought Stay Close, he had that big dirty quarter crack, and then he developed another one? Those shoes don't know, and those are aluminum mushroom bar shoes. Very rare that you would see a trotter excel with those on. Just raw talent is the only thing that can explain that. It's not that those shoes make them so. It's just not a very sought after, not by us anyway. There could be horsemen out there saying, oh, we use them all the time. We never do, ever. And it was only after he developed his last quarter crack, and it was the blacksmith that said, hey, can you weld a set of just light full swedge light full swedge mushroom bars for this horse? We'll see if he's a little more comfortable in those. And it was Preston, our blacksmith, who does a little more shoeing for us. Felix does some, but so does Preston. He said, well, I have aluminum bars. They're made, aluminum bars, they're forged, aluminum bar, mushroom bar shoes. I said, yeah, let's try those out. I schooled him in 53 with them on, and then James got locked in those 2 starts. We don't want to talk about that very much. And then he went out and won. Now, James and I, we're brothers and very passionate about what we do. So, we get into it about 10 days ago about the equipment on the horses. And virtually, being a bit of a big brother and a bit of a dick, the last thing I said to him was, listen, somewhere along the lines of him getting an award for driving and we'll put the gear on them, you just shut your mouth and drive them type thing. And, it wasn't very nice to him because James does play a very intricate role in the stable. And, and I had said to somebody afterwards, I didn't say it to James. Again, big brother thing, but I didn't say it to James. But a lot of the equipment we have on the horses is for our comfort, right? You guys will see that we wear 2 head poles on the inside of horses. No one else does for the most part. Because I like the way they steer like that. But maybe they don't steer. Maybe James doesn't like the way they steer like that. So if James is going to drive the horses, there should be some collaboration where just because I feel comfortable the way the horse is hung up doesn't mean that he does. And that was on display with Stay Close. Now, we didn't change a whole lot. Let's be honest. He didn't trot in 52-1 because we took a head pole and a martingale off him. He trotted in 52-1 because James had bottled him up to the point where the horse was likely frustrated for 2 weeks, and then he just exploded with this just aggression that was impressive. So, but I do have to understand that I do want to work with James when it comes to stuff like that, and Stay Close was a perfect example. Again, not for the equipment, but the fact that if James is comfortable, the horse is going to race better because he's not going to have to be. He's not going to be looking at the other stuff, right, that's going on. I need him to be comfortable and focused in the bike, and he always is anyway. He's a true professional, but that's important. So, again, third time I'm trying to get through this list. Patrick DePrano was fantastic. Stay Close, fantastic this week. Yes, was good again, second in 53. I thought maybe Billy emptied him out a little bit down the backstretch, and we'll see what happens tomorrow night. I believe Aaron's driving him tomorrow night. Think he's going to get much of a tinier drive, but we'll see. Yes is he's a true competitor also. Sailor has been great, second in a dead heat the other night. But what I love, he's been a runaway his whole life, and people should know this, and I didn't say it to Dominic, but I should. This horse has been a loose cannon and out of control his whole life. Now you are starting to be able to race him like a horse. I drove him 2 fingers. He was a dream to drive the night I won with him. Little bumpy. We know he has his issues with his feet, right? So, little bumpy. Please don't send me a thing and say, can you put the same shoes on him that you have on Stay Close? Please don't do that to me. So Sailor is now, and this, you guys see this too, right? We're all learning. I learned too. But we're all learning that some of these horses mature in such a different way, right? White Tiger had the best year of his life, arguably since his 2-year-old season last year, right? Was up in the Open. He's coming back great, looks like $1 million. But the maturity of horses is so much different, horse to horse. Horse like Sailor, I would easily argue the best races of his life are ahead of him. This is going to be a good horse for us. Stay Close. I thought about it after. I don't think we've ever had a horse win in 52 in a piece of trotter. I think he might be the fastest horse we ever had, just on paper alone. I don't think we've ever had a horse win faster than 52 and won a trotter. Not that I can remember. These were, Sailor, we paid fair market value for. We get $41,000 for him. That's what I thought he was worth. I talked about to a number of you that I talked to a horse I was going to bid on the other day. I don't want to beat that drum. I was going to bid on the horse. We didn't have the level of interest in the horse that I was comfortable with, but I was still going to push because I could have easily bought him. He ended up going for $35,000. I left him alone simply because I judged him against our horses. He can't beat Stay Close. He can't beat Sailor, I don't think. Can't beat Eldie's Patrick. So it's not a necessity we have. Yeah, I would have liked to have him, but I couldn't have got him for $35,000. I probably would have had to pay $40,000. And 41 was my ceiling. Same with Sailor. Everybody has that boiling point, right? And I thought if 40 was the number that would buy him, 41 should get it done. That's how we got Sailor. Right on 41. But anyway, I let the horse go. Stonebridge Simba, racing great. Now, High Gear No Fear has been a little... We've been beat up on High Gear No Fear, and perfect example. I need everybody to pay attention. It's not all sunshine and lollipops. Sometimes we get thumped on. If we were to price him right now aggressively in a claiming situation, he'd be a 20, maybe a 15, maybe a 25, but somewhere around a 20. We give 60 for him. So not a great situation, but at the same time, a good trotter can always bang out money. We need to find the right jurisdiction for this horse. Saratoga, Plain Ridge might be the one. This horse is pretty push button. I think Mark Beckwith's, not to say that he has to be for Mark, certainly not, but I think this horse will fit in very, very well in Mark Beckwith's stable. Really happy that we're having some luck with Mark because, there's another guy, done good his whole life everywhere, yet when he got our horses over the last year, he had no luck with them. And it leaves you wondering, do I suck? I ask myself all the time that. I left the Meadows the other day. Is that my fault? LD's Patrick and Dustin Hanover, is that on me? Dustin, I felt was. I'll take the blame, but LD's Patrick, did I do that? You second guess yourself. Now we get the blood back in his ASTs 2000. It's pretty clear what took place. But you're left doing that. And that's the tough part about this game, is that you got to have thick skin. And most importantly, as I said, the best thing I was ever told, the best tidbit of information I was ever given that stuck with me forever, from a gentleman, I don't even remember his name anymore, and it was just off the cuff, and it stuck with me, and it was so important for this industry, is know when the race is over. You have to be able to turn the page in this game. As an owner, as a trainer, as a driver, as a caretaker, you have to be able to turn the page, and if you can't, you are done in this game. There's no room in this game for you if you have thin skin. Of that, I am 1,000% sure. Our sophomores are starting to come together now. Now, Grace is in a tough spot. I'm driving her Monday. Is Grace a gold filly? Now, the problem was we didn't get to race her last Thursday, so we had to race her on a Monday. The Monday was the draw for the grassroots. Had we raced her on Thursday and she raced the way she did, she would have been in the grassroots on Thursday. But the draw was after her race. Now we got her blood back. There was some things that we worked on. We scoped her. We knew she wasn't 100% on race night. Not far off. It wasn't like oh my God, she's terrible. No, little bit of mucus, no blood. Little bit of mucus, little inflamed airway. AST tiny bit elevated. Things we can work on, but nothing that's going to bring her from 55 to 53. I can tell you that. I can't beat Adair Castle. Adair Castle's going to have to beat herself. And I don't even know if I don't know where we sit in the pecking order in that division. Maybe we're 10th, 12th, I don't know. But that's timing, right? It's just the way it shook out. So we'll see how Grace does on Monday evening. I'd like to see her trot 54 in a piece. If she does, she should get a bone. We'll get a call, we'll get some money hopefully, and that's the plan for her. She's come back pretty good. Renegade Gypsy was flat the other day, I know. He's got to find his way. Did good at Flamborough. I was disappointed with him at Grand River, but truthfully speaking, the track's deep. His gait, you can always. The one thing about Gypsy is you can always tell when he's not right. That first start when he looked flat at Flamborough, he was rickety going. Mario did some work on him, and then he went out and raced good, like 2-3 starts in a row. That last start, he got picked off at London. He tied up. So going into Grand River, we worked on his AST, or his muscle count. He should have been better. And he wasn't. Looked terrible last night. I think it was just the track, too. That gait, he had a little hitch in him. And I think he was just slipping. I know what Grand River's like. Usually, it's a deep track to begin with, but definitely opening week. For some reason, it's almost like they had a tractor pull there. The track is deep as hell. It always is. Always is. Resolute Bay wears flip-flops. Good luck. So I said to Harry, well, we'll put him on the Lasix program. Put him on Lasix right away. So it's 14 days. School him up and race him. Somebody said he didn't look very good. He's got flip-flops on a half-mile track, and he's just coming off bleeding. I don't know. You tell me how he should have looked. I thought the horse looked rather good. If you stare at the time, you're like, oh, he trotted in 2 minutes. It's terrible. The horse that won the race is a decent horse. Pretty decent horse. And I don't think he was on the top of his game, but he will be. We'll school him up. We'll have him ready to go. But he can go to Mohawk. Resolute Bay's best races are ahead of him also. Here's a good-looking colt that is clearly still immature. Physically, when you look at him, you stand him beside a racehorse and say, tell me what you think. Anybody with an ounce of intelligence will say, clearly That's a sophomore or a rookie. That's a young horse that's got to mature and grow up. He's just not filled out yet. I said this last year. The horse was very immature. As a 2-year-old, still a little frail looking. He's in great shape. He's got a lot of growing to do, and his best races are ahead of him too. I think he's going to be a real nice horse. Now, simply put, as I said to somebody the other day, he's bred better than Renegade Gypsy. He's not as big as him. Renegade Gypsy's going to be an okay horse. But Resolute Bay is bred to be a very good horse, and I think you'll see them start to separate as the year goes on. That's not to say there's anything wrong with Renegade Gypsy. Renegade Gypsy reminds me of Walk on the Moon. That's who he reminds me of. A pretty good meat and potatoes, middle-of-the-road horse that could be a better horse if he wanted to. That's not to say that he doesn't want to be, but I don't think he's that 105% put-out type. There's nothing wrong with that. The world's full of those horses. But I don't think last night is a very fair way to judge Renegade Gypsy, right? You're not going to define that horse by that race at Grand River. He's coming off a race where he tied up. Let's get him back to 105%. Quite frankly, he's a number as a 4-horse anywhere on planet Earth. They can race him anywhere. He doesn't have to race unless he's the best grassroots horse. Who cares about racing in the grassroots? Let's pay to race for $17,000. You can do that any day of the week for free. So again, he's now sliding into that situation of where's the best place for Gypsy? It doesn't have to be Ontario. Not at all. It can be anywhere. That's the one true advantage that we have here at the stable, is that we can go anywhere. It's not always that easy. Just say, I'm going to ship them down here. To have a good working relationship with so many trainers in so many different jurisdictions is, I say this all the time, but is a feather in our cap, to say the least. Will DeWin Hanover, who's in Julie Miller's care, Julie messaged me the other day, said, where do you want to race her? I said, you're training her, you tell me. You don't have to race her overhead, you don't have to race her underhead. Don't put her in a claimer if that's what you're asking. And she said, no. I just, the PA All-Stars is coming up. And I said, no, you tell me where she belongs, and that's where she's going to race. So, Will DeWin Hanover, I believe, is in the Poconos this week. Then we saw, we're trying to get, trust me when I tell you, a lot of people said, I thought you said Purple Aura trained great. Keep in mind, you're two very different surfaces. We talked about racetrack surfaces. We talk about it all the time, and sometimes people don't think about that. I don't sometimes. It's a big deal. Purple Aura flip-flops on does not get over Scioto that well now. I think you're going to see a much different Purple Aura come Wednesday evening at Northfield Park. Little tip. But when we go back down to Southern Ohio, maybe worth taking those flip-flops off for her journey down there next time. A little food for thought. 1-2 Skip a Few has been fantastic also this year. Kind of in the shadows, always in the shadows. When somebody sent me a message, almost incensed that I was talking about Sweet on Pete and Purple Aura as being, better. Well, that's because they are better. They're better horses than 1-2 Skip a Few. But 1-2 Skip a Few is a sweetheart to drive. She is, who she reminds me of? My Jazz. That's who 1-2 Skip a Few reminds me of. Just always there. And in fact, quite frankly, My Jazz, another horse that really, I know a lot of people thought she put out 105%. She was a worker, right? But she never, not the 105. Maybe 99, maybe 100, but not 105. And Skippy just seems to me like she wants it a little bit more than other horses, right? You guys go back, just look at her life story. Look at her life story. She looked terrible training down, clappy and bumpy. She did the same at 2, clappy and bumpy, but broke 2 track records at the fairs. And people may say, well, that was the fairs. Fairs have been there for 6 trillion years. She's the fastest horse ever went around them. Come on. Don't kid yourself. Everyone races at the fairs. So not to disparage My Jazz. And by the way, I am super pumped. 2 things. I may say she didn't put out 105%, but we all know, all my partners know what she went through to race last year and how tough she had to be. So I guess that's not a fair statement. Secondly, in Fold International Money, I am so excited about My Jazz being in full to International Money. Our International Monies look absolutely lights out. one little issue, a little sidebar. Compass Rose DC, it did not get full in Enterprise, and I don't know whether that's an Enterprise problem. I've heard a few things in Ohio about mares having difficult times getting it full, so we have switched her up. Monday morning, Compass Rose DC will be bred to International Money. I just can't. I don't want to go another season. Not that I don't mind racing Compass Rose DC, but she's supposed to be in full. So International Money will be bred to Compass Rose DC on Monday. A little side note. But 1-2 Skip a Few has just been absolutely fantastic in her whole life. I was a little worried with her first few starts, but honestly, and I think it was the same with the horse I'm about to talk about in a second, just for some reason, these Ohio-bred sophomores needed more work than we put into them. It's pretty clear. The proof's in the pudding. 1-2 Skip a Few got better and better and better every start. Purple Aura better and better every start. Frosty Trouble. Same type of thing. He just looked like maybe. That's certainly no disrespect to the gentleman ahead of him. We did the same thing. I just don't know if he had the same, if he had the same workload or a heavy enough workload. And I don't really know why, because in the past it's been enough. Seemed like it was enough. It wasn't enough. And you see that coming up now. Frosty raced good in the mud. Raced great also when I drove him, and he finished second. So he's moving forward also. It looks like he was a pretty decent purchase on our behalf. And then we have horses racing. Now Georgian Downs opens up. We have Laugh Now, Crew Chief racing tomorrow night. Right? Mark Campbell's horse, Southwind Arturo, is racing tomorrow night also. Pretty excited about that. We got First Glance in Tuesday. He's back with us now. And Procrastinator, that was a bit of a shit show last week. He was going to Pennsylvania to race to get on the LASEX program. Didn't get in. Sent him to Ohio. Put him on the LASEX program in Ohio. He's going to race next Friday at Scioto. Again, horse that wears flip-flops. We're going to take the flip-flops off of him to race on Friday at Scioto. Track's just too deep for flip-flops, it appears. You'll get the odd horse that'll go over it anyway, that'll just, that horse that can race with any shoes on, anywhere, anytime. That horse, whatever particular horse that is, will get over that track with flip-flops, but for the most part, they can't. So they don't. So you'll see Procrastinator race with a set of full swedges probably on for Friday at Scioto. Our first 2-year, it's here. Summer's here. The 2-year-olds are starting to qualify. We have 15 Ohio breds to qualify. I'm torn on Sipping on My Shine. I trained him today at 2.5 at the farm. But I'm trying to fathom how we go from lunacy to a useful rookie. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. I'm going to school him Friday, see how he is. And I had a very frank conversation with a couple of my partners on him today and said, listen, if he just looks like he's going to be a meathead and a strong animal, it might be worth just turning him out. All you're going to do is turn him into a hothead and turn him into a bigger lunatic if we don't. I think that's what we risk. So in regards to Sipping on My Shine, looked okay, but he just, we TQ'd him to train today. What's he going to be like without TQ? What's he going to be like on the gate at Mohawk? Let's find out. I'm going to school him next Friday, see how he looks. But every other Ohio bred will qualify on Thursday. 15 of them will go behind the gate at Northfield Park next Thursday morning. A lot of people asking, so I inquired also to the racetrack management over there, are the qualifiers going to be broadcast? They said yes. Now, how do we link that up with the stable.ca feed? I'm sure that's easy to do. I'll ask Curtis and the broadcast department in Northfield to work that out, because obviously we want to bring that to you. So 15, all of them are ready to go in Ohio. Even Sip is ready to go, but mentally, a bit of a mental midget right now. So mentally, it may behoove us just to take our time and take a step back and say, okay, what's best for us in this horse moving forward? He looks awesome as far as body, big, muscular colt. Now, when you really start putting fast speed into them, you can really see them start to bulk up. And this horse is definitely bulked up, and he has a lot of work put into him. But mentally, is he going to get there? Right now, as a rookie, I don't know, but he's going to tell us soon enough. So we'll find out next Friday. And before we find out if he can do it at Mohawk, all his brothers and sisters of Ohio will be doing it in Northfield. They'll all be qualified on Thursday. But none of them will be the first horse qualified this year. That will lie on the withers of Silent Assassin. Now, I went with Cutie Cumber today, but I don't think I'm going to send her to Saratoga. We get bigger plans for her. She was good today. I put the hobbles on her. I don't know if she needs them. She was good. Can we make her better? Can we make her more comfortable? That's what I'm looking at. She was good today, but she's not going to Saratoga. I fully expect Silent Assassin will. She looked good in 2-3. Got interfered with today. A horse made a break and interfered with her today, and she made a break. But has been good, and I expect she'll be good again. So I am going to qualify her myself, not against 2-year-olds, but I'm going to qualify her myself on Tuesday morning at Mohawk Raceway. So Silent Assassin will be our first 2-year-old qualified of 2022. Why? Because her first stake's on the 20th. That's why. If something happens on the Friday, we're kind of pooched, right? We're in trouble. And she's the horse we want her on those smaller tracks. She's handy on a smaller track. Silent Assassin is not of the same ilk of Cutie Cumber. We're two very different game plans here. Silent Assassin, nice little filly, does her work nice. Cutie Cumber's a big, powerful mare that was one of our best horses training down the entire time we had her. So, two different situations here. So I think you're going to see Silent Assassin go to Saratoga. Cutie Cumber's not going anywhere just yet until we get her perfectly squared away. We see all these last hurdles they go through where they got to be able to trot hard or pace hard, and that speed has to come, but they have to be comfortable. They have to do it right. She just feels to me like she's frustrated with something, and I want to pinpoint it. I want to figure out what it is. Regardless, she'll school next week. I'll school her in 2 minutes next Friday, and we'll see what's up with her. But for today, I was mildly happy with what I saw from her. I'd like to see her do it a little bit better. Let's see what she does next week. So Silent Assassin, all the Ohio breds on Thursday. All our other horses will all go on Friday. Now, I guess I can get to them first. Who are you going to see on Friday? I'm going to tell you right now who you're going to see. This isn't going to be in alphabetical order in any way. Just names. A little bingo for you. Silent Assassin's going to be Tuesday. Nothing But a Dreamer will likely school on Friday. He won't qualify. Cash Deals will school. Sir Strong will likely school or qualify. Sir Strong will qualify. Enzo Guale will qualify. He was awesome today. We'll talk about all the training sets today in the training set portion of these videos. Horn Player will qualify. Gotta tell you about her. Marshall Zukov won't. More Than You Know won't. These horses will be ready to school soon. They missed a little time. There's no rush. More Than You Know won a great Malte, 2.8 or 2.9. He was really good. But again, I said this, and I need everybody to understand. When you miss a month, right? When you miss 3 weeks or a month, it's gone. You don't get to, somehow just pretend that you put that work in. That work still has to be addressed. That work still has to be put into the horse. And More Than You Know just isn't there yet. This is a very flashy, very fast horse that I like very, very much. Want to take our time, and as I said to Johnny, I don't care. Look at World for Two. I don't care if More Than You Know even leaves Canada this year. He can stay here and learn to be a good horse here. He's not quite there yet. Mentally, he's there. He's figured it out. Good boy. But we need to put the work into this horse. Marshall Zukov, as I said, close, not quite there yet. Chocolate for Lunch will school on Friday. Olchek will likely school on Friday. Rosita's Dream will qualify on Friday. He was under my skin today and being a goof. And I knew what happened afterwards. He had been shot recently. His feet were a little tender. And the thing about him is he's still in that stubborn little mongrel mode sometimes where he gets angry and he just wants to wreck everything. That's the stuff that Colts get away with. This guy shouldn't be doing this. And, as I said to one of my partners on the horse, Mary Leeson, today, I said, that wall, that hurdle, that wall that he's put up where if he decides he's just not happy today, he's in full-on wreck everything mode, that wall will come crumbling down very, very soon. And what you're going to be left with is a very polite and smart horse. Very fast colt. I was going a mile and 2-1 with him today at the farm, or 2-2 in the bike, and he made a break in the last turn. Now, the break in the last turn, it wasn't really his fault. When we got to the point of the turn, both turns, I could see him lean in quick. Get a little splint, bothers him right front, and his feet were both chopped up a little bit. So the blacksmith had just done him. His feet were a little tender, and he was trying. I'll give him that. He was trying to get through the turn. I don't think he was trying to make a break, but he just lost himself, and then when he just came unglued. And you can't, the second part has to dissipate, right? It's like Ollie. You can't, you strike out, you can't flip out. I did when I was a kid too, I get it. But you have to keep your composure, and all the trotters need to learn that. That's the last step. Becoming a racehorse is using your head and keeping your composure on the track. The work we put into them should help them show up in that regard. But again, Rosita's Dream is a horse that had shown a lot of breaks this winter, so a lot of those exercises were lost on him. But a very, very fast colt. I suspect he'll qualify in 2 minutes, 2:1, no problem on Friday. Warwi Yuri, 2:11 today. He's getting there. I said to Mario, there's no rush. This horse looks great. You're doing a great job. Just keep going with him. We told everybody August, and that's what we're aiming for, is August with this horse. Nice colt. Keep up the good work. May Lose Control will school on Friday. Again, probably overnight prospect type horse. Nothing wrong with that. Doing his work well. I was very happy with what I saw from him today. Anchors Up, also doing his work well. He's got a little clubby foot right front that we always have to work on. As I told Preston, and Shelby's done a great job with this colt. And as I told them both, about every 2.5, 3 weeks, we got to keep that foot, got to keep working on that foot, and keep him sound. We'll have some fun with this guy this summer. We'll bounce around Ontario and aim for some of the smaller things in Kentucky with him, I think, this summer. Twin Cedars All-Star will school, or will he qualify? That's a coin flip. I don't know yet. He should qualify, but he's been making breaks lately and getting on the right line. I probably should have the vet go over him, maybe tune him up a little bit, like touch him up a little bit. We'll see. Tentatively, I'd say school, but you could easily see Twin Cedars All-Star also in to qualify. Cutie Cumber will school for sure. Leaps and Bounds was very good today. She's going to qualify this week. Spitfire Overseas was incredible again. Man, he's a nice horse. He's going to qualify this week. Landing Strip and My 1% will likely school. Landing Strip's not there yet, and as I said to somebody, this horse was sick twice. He missed 4 or 5 weeks. So, let's be fair to the horse. He's 4 or 5 weeks behind. There's no rush at all with Landing Strip. Jimmy went with him today. James went with him the other day. Jimmy pulled his hobbles in a little bit today. I'd said to him, they're a little loose. He pulled them in. He said the horse was great. James lost him the other day, but man, he said he was trotting fantastic. I didn't tell James till after. We only have 4 aluminum shoes on him, which is rare. I'm keeping an eye on the way he's wearing those shoes because I don't want him getting a little sore on them. And then the last set, horse that surprised me, didn't surprise me. I knew she had it in her. I knew she's a nice horse. Mo Power Baby was excellent today training. GJ's ATM was great. Carter Michael Dio was great. I missed this set. Gandalf the Black. School this week. Was a winner this morning. Jimmy said he was good. Tailgate Buzz, Cunning Connie were good. Tailgate Buzz is going to qualify. Cunning Connie will likely school. Crantini, little problem with him till he had a quarter crack. Went out on the track and he was sore. I said, oh no. Don't do this. So, it was almost like watching the engine light come on in your car. You don't know what's going on. You're a little angry about it, trying to get to the bottom of it. And that's what went on with Crantini this morning. Come off the track and immediately I was angry. I was just boiling over a little bit. I said, hey, what is going on with this horse? I jumped on his foot yesterday, but it seemed good. I said, well, let's look. Flipped up his bell boot. It wasn't where he jumped on his foot. He popped a quarter crack. Quarter crack left front. So I was pissed a little bit because he popped a quarter crack, but I was super happy that that's all it was. So pretty easy fix. I asked the blacksmith to come in, clean all that up tomorrow because it might be something a little deeper. Maybe put a bar shoe, a window bar. We talk about window bars. So the outside corner of this foot, you have a normal shoe on them, and then you just take it right across there, and right across there to take the pressure off the outside bulb of that foot. So that's what we're going to do with him. But again, I had a list of horses that have been incredible for the last 2-3 weeks. Yeah, here they are here. Horn Player. I'll talk about her quick. 44 minutes. Wow, I'm sorry about that. Horn Player was unbelievably good today with the trotting hobbles on. I trained her. I'm not even going to tell you. Don't ask me. I'm not telling you. She was awesome today. Very, very, very good. She's ready to qualify. I suspect we'll qualify her in 2 minutes, come back in 57 or 58, and then she'll be off to New Jersey. She was exceptionally good. Top honors today, by far, horn player. A couple of them were close, I guess not by far, but top billing for sure today was horn player. Brace for Landing was great yesterday. James schooled him. He's going to qualify. Both those horses are qualifying next week. So you can see we got some heavyweights going next week in Mohawk. Una Madonna, now she was in heat real bad. We had given her some medication today to bring her out of heat, and then we'll put her on Regimate. Now, I have to give her 5 stars this week because she was in heat so bad she actually peed on James yesterday. So that only makes me like her more, right? That only makes me like her more. So top billing to her this week. 1, because she schooled in 2-2, and 2, because she literally urinated on James, which I don't know if I can love her any more than I do right now. Enzo Aguayo was awesome this morning also. 210 last half and 102 in the jog card at the farm. But he's back. He feels like $1 million. I told you guys we schooled him in 2-1 and he felt like he didn't want to catch. He couldn't have caught Spitfire overseas if I had run around 6 times. He wasn't catching him. I might have caught him today. He was very, very good this morning. Let's take nothing away from Spitfire. He's a killer, an absolute killer on the track. We got some horses that are scary good. And I hope, well, put it this way, I can only judge it in this manner, so take it for what it is. Historically speaking, we have the best trotters we have ever had at the stable this year on the track. Now, we had good horses before, sporadically, Lawmaker and Cruising in Style was good as a 2-year-old. White Tiger was fantastic. Oso Pine and horses like that. Good horses. 3-Point Blue Chip. Can't forget about him. But if you look at where they were right now, where every yearling we've ever had was right now, June 1st of their 2-year-old season, we have never had a deeper group of horses. And they haven't been behind the gate. They haven't been battle tested. We don't know how good everybody else's horses are. I can tell you how good ours are. Historically, you look at it, horn player, feels like a killer. Brace for Landing, Una Madonna, Enzo Aguayo, Crantini, Carter Michael Dio, Spitfire overseas, Tailgate Buzz, I'm even going to throw in Leaps and Bounds, Cutie Cumber, Mo Power Baby, and our little regional horse. Not little, our regional horse, GJ's ATM. What horse? I know I missed some. Well, how many do I got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 horses that look incredible to me. That's hard to believe, isn't it? How many am I leaving out? I didn't even put an Ohio horse in there. We'll talk about them also in our thing. How good do you have to be to make the list? Well, I mean, we trained 6 horses in Ohio in 2-3. 6. That's all. The Enterprise Filly, 2-3, last half 58. I mean, we'll talk about them in a minute, but just think of the horses we have. We started with 60. I can get to 20. So you tell me a third of our horses are good horses? Like real good horses? Legit good horses? I'm excited. When I look at what's going on right now, as I said, go to the top of the list, what we talked about. Patrick DeParana, stay close. Yes, Sailor, Stonebridge Simba. Talk about all our sophomores. And then you get to our rookies. You guys have allowed us to put together one of the best stables around, right? Now, we're not talking Nancy Tactor, Ron Burke, Tony Alania, spend $10 trillion. We still did it our way. Yes, we bought some expensive horses this year, but we still did it our way. Carter Michael Dio, $25,000. Crantini was 35. That's interesting. I want to look at that. And we all know horn player 45, I believe. Brace was expensive. Una Madonna was expensive. Enzo Aguayo 17. Tailgate Buzz 20, I believe. Leaps and Bounds wasn't much at all. 22. Cutie Cumber was expensive, but should have been 3 times what she was. Mo Power Baby was privately sent. GJ's ATM. I don't even remember what I paid for him. 15, 10, I don't know. Now, this all has to come to fruition. I can talk until I'm blue in the face, and you guys just hit stop. It all has to come to fruition, but the excitement, you guys can see it in my face, hear it in my voice. The excitement that I have towards this year is immense. I'm so excited to race these horses and see them race. And I can't thank you enough. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. The opportunity to be able to race these horses, that rests on your shoulders. You allowed us to do this, regardless of the horses we bought and trained them down and how they come. Without you, there is no stable. Without you, there was no horses purchased, especially the way we did it this year. Without you, none of that happens. So as we start the summer off, I can't thank you enough. Again, without you, there's no Patrick. Either Patrick. There's no Stay Close. There's no Sailor. There's none of those horses. I can't ever stop thanking our clients enough because, as I said a moment ago, without you, there is no stable. So thank you all very much. As I said, super excited. I'm sure you are also. We're poised to have absolutely a banner year, but a defining year. A year that defines what people can do with fractional ownership. So thank you all again. I'm sorry for the long opening, but we did have a lot to talk about. We do have a lot to talk about. I'm almost to the border. I'm going to be in Ohio tonight. Race our girl. Wish me luck. Good luck to everybody else the rest of the weekend. Take care, everybody.